people pleasing has different levels, right? We all do it at varying degrees. And so depending on what level or what degree it's impacting you. And the thing is, the majority of us, we don't know our levels. It's a blind spot. So it takes an outside view to take a look at it, because it's just your natural, it's just your natural way of operating. You've created that. So we start with like, where did that get created? Because that's when that was a pivotal moment.
Welcome to Trujectory, the podcast committed to helping you align with who you really are, your true self. The one who is so comfortable with their uniqueness, so in love with life, and so effortlessly able to manifest everything they always dreamt of. I want this podcast to be a resource to help you jump into the driver's seat rather than continuing as a passenger in your own story. Let's understand why we choose to hold ourselves back so we can shed the lies that we've programmed into our minds. We can heal the root causes and step into the epic human that we know we can be. If you're ready to start aligning with your trajectory, let's do it. Okay, we have the amazing, the huge energy of Nando from New York in the studio today. Hello, Nando. How you doing? Thank you so much for being here.
I am so good. I'm so excited. I
Me
really,
too.
really am.
Oh, I'm so excited. So I came across your profile through a mutual friend that we have. And as soon as I saw your profile name, people pleasing expert, I was hooked. I was like, who is this guy? Tell me about it, because this is one of the biggest things that I have been becoming aware of the last few years in my life. And then once you become aware, it's like, oh God, what do I do about it? Now it's such an instant reaction to just want to people please at every corner. So can you tell me, I'm just so fascinated by this work that you're doing. Can you tell me about the sort of work that you're doing with people?
Absolutely. So first of all, I'm super excited to be here. And, I'm glad that you reached out and that we finally were able to get this done. People pleasing. I think first of all, I think people have a misconception of what people pleasing is. So I kind of want to just break it down a little bit.
Great.
Because people pleasing is when we actually, what's the word? When we don't create boundaries for ourselves in order to keep other people happy, not rock the boat, to keep things status quo, right? Mm-hmm. And so inside that world of people pleasing comes a lot of self-sabotage. So it's connected, right? And there's such a dark side to people pleasing that folks don't get. So we'll get into that. But people pleasing is basically you're betraying your own sense of self. Mm-hmm. in order to make sure that other people are good, right? Whether that's at work, family, play, whatever it is. Yeah. So that's like the simplest way to describe what people pleasing is. We're betraying ourselves for others.
That really resonates. That makes so much sense. And I mean, that instantly just takes me back to all of the friendships I've had previously. It's only the last couple of years I've been able to sort of really attract more positive people who aren't demanding so many things of me and that let me feel seen and loved. But even in my past relationship, I had a very long-term relationship, and I didn't realize how much I was sabotaging myself. And like you said, the dark side of it was really, whatever you need, I will give, and I will keep ignoring myself. I'll keep ignoring my body until eventually my body went, hey, no, you listen to me now. And I got quite sick. And so, yeah, it's just incredible the effects that this can have on you, right? Like not just mentally, but physically and every part of your existence.
Absolutely. And one of the number one physical ways that it manifests, which is what you mentioned, is like actual physical illness, whether like literally I am a receiver of vertigo. I know that when I get episodes of vertigo, I got to start checking my boundaries. It's so interesting. I got to start checking my boundaries. Here in America, adult chickenpox is called shingles, right?
Yes.
So we get shingle. I've gotten shingles. Just all these different ways that manifest in your thinking you go to the doctor, but really it's check yourself, check your boundaries. Because as soon as you start doing that, a lot of these things start going away. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all connected because your body, you can only betray your body and yourself so long before it starts to say, I need help. And little headaches or little back aches, little neck aches, little things, your eye twitching to the left a little bit. All these we think like, oh, that's odd. No, check yourself. These are all like little reminders, little check engine lights of
Mm.
what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. So what is the sort of work that you do with people then? Because I mean, this is such a huge thing that affects so many areas of their life. How do you start with someone when it comes to helping them identify what's going on and then maybe start to turn the wheel the other way and start to put those boundaries up? Like what's the sort of protocol here?
Yeah. So the first thing is it's kind of all the same, but it's all different, but then it's all the same. But then
Yeah.
it's all different, but it's all the same, right?
Love it.
So
Humans.
I basically start with like what areas are the red flags like waving at you right this moment. And some people will say, it's my weight. Some people will say I'm stuck at a job where I'm making the same, I had a client who was at the same job for 20 years making the same amount of money that she made when she first started, right? And it's like for fear of not having a job, for fear of speaking up, for fear of, you know, oh, three people quit, I'll take on their role so I can have job safety. But it was all inside of betraying herself and never getting any raises, right? So we start with like, where is it impacting you in your life right now? Because we need something real. And then we start working our way backwards to see, you know, because this is what I've been saying. There's the dark side, there's always a payoff. I people please because there's a payoff, and the payoff is different for everyone. So one person might be, oh, I volunteer at the church, I volunteer at the PTA, I make the cupcakes, I make this, da 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 da. I'm so resentful and I'm tired, but I keep piling things on because the payoff is it makes me feel wanted. It makes me feel useful. It's the only way I bring value into the world. So that's the dark side. Yes, you're people pleasing, but you're getting a payoff. And it's a deep, dark thing that you keep kind of hidden, right? You want other people's world to be chaotic so that you can come in and swoop in and save the day. That's the payoff. Superhero syndrome, right? That's the dark
Yes.
side that sometimes we don't see in people pleasing.
That is so spot on. And that brings a couple of people to mind as well. Like, I definitely have had those tendencies in the past as well. But there are a few people I know of that I see that they are constantly running in to save the day, constantly offering up their help, going, I can do this, and I can even do this, and I can do this on top of that, and I can do this. And when I look at their life, they're not helping themselves in any way. So this is like the root cause, right? It's the fact that is people pleasing like sort of almost like an addiction, like instead of looking at the things that you need to fix for yourself, you go and help everyone else.
Well, that's a part of the self-sabotage, right? It's like, let me focus on you so I don't have to take a look at what's going on here. And usually these folks, this is what I'm saying, it's like their income stays the same, their finances are shot, their health is not very well, their own personal relationships are rocky, like everything is falling and breaking down. But as long as I can look into your life and help you, then I'm good, right? So, and it's called like some people, and people pleasing has different levels, right? So I don't want a label to be like, oh, you're a people pleaser, you're a people pleaser, you're a people pleaser. We all do it at
Yeah.
varying degrees. And so depending on what level or what degree it's impacting you. And the thing is, the majority of us, we don't know our levels. It's a blind spot. So it takes an outside view to take a look at it because the saying goes, a fish doesn't know it's swimming in water, right? Does a fish get wet? Is a fish wet? right? Because
Yeah.
that's the world it's in.
Yeah, that's just their
So
natural. Yeah.
it's just your natural, yeah, it's just your natural way of operating. You've created that. So we start with like, where did that get created? Because that's when that was a pivotal moment in your life, right? So yeah, it's pretty powerful. And I just found a book today, and I just posted it on my Instagram. It's
Ooh.
called Addicted to Drama by Dr. Scott Lyons. And the first paragraph talks about some people go chasing the storms. Some people live where it rains, and then some people go to where it rains because it makes them feel alive. So all of this
Mm.
is connected to the people pleasing, to the drama, to the chaos.
Oh my gosh, it really is so. There's so many variables. Hey, it's so interesting. And something I've found with myself is when I started to really tap into this awareness, I I had to stop myself from going too much the other way then. You know what I mean? It's like finding the balance between then going, no, fuck you, I'm not doing that for anyone. No, no, no. And then sort of putting up too many walls. Like, is there some sort of, what's the balance there? Especially, I always wonder about empaths. Like, I'm a very empathic person. So there's the people pleaser side of me that I know has stemmed from an event when I was younger, when I lost all of my friends when I was about 11. And so from that moment, I was like, my prime directive was, make sure you fit in, make sure you keep the friendship sort of going. So do anything for anyone, make everyone feel good. But the other side of me is very empathic. So like just when I'm with people, I want them to feel good because that makes me feel good. I'm feeling their emotions. So is there any sort of balance or, I know it's a tough question
That's a
there.
great question. Yeah. So I know that like when we're younger, a lot of us, right? But we have to understand that some people still do this now into adulthood. We want to fit in, we want to belong. And so that becomes a way of operating in order to fit in and belong. And then as we get older and as we experience life, and like you said, you develop this self awareness, a lot of us may go to the other side and start building walls and push,
Mm,
because we never want to be that person again, but then we take it the other way. I
yeah.
would say, again, and this is part of the self awareness, is how, like at the end of the day, doing a check in and saying to yourself, you know, I liked how I operated today.
Mm,
I hung out with Eric and it was good vibes all day long. I hung
mm,
out with my husband and it was energizing, fun, empowering, all of that. But last week, I hung up with Kathy and I noticed the last few times I've hung out with Kathy, it was always about Kathy. Kathy never asked
mm,
about me. Kathy never asked how I was doing. I was, her sounding board. I was her therapist. So it's like your energy. Check your energy with these folks, and that'll be a big indicator, of what's going on here. So doing an energy, because the energy never lies. You can't fake
mm.
that.
I really like that. And I definitely remember I went through that phase myself where I started to look back at these friendships that I was having. And I realized, I even said this in a podcast recently, I realized that 90% of the time I would hang out with these people, I wouldn't even speak. I would just sit there nodding my head, smiling, and I would be thinking whatever. I wouldn't even necessarily be completely in the conversation because I knew they didn't even need me in the conversation. They just wanted to dump all of their baggage and all of their drama on me, and I just wanted to make them feel good and listen and keep smiling. And I remember a few times being in that moment thinking, this is not a friendship. I'm not being real. I'm not being kind to them by just faking interest. I'm not being kind to myself. So why am I here? But it did take a while to sort of drop those patterns. But oh my
Yeah,
God.
and then there's also another form of friendship where you feel so invisible, and maybe you're with a group of friends, and at the end of the day, you're just like, I never said anything. I never voiced I never said I wanted to go to that movie or da da da, and it's just because we're carrying around, I'm not worthy, I'm not
Mm,
enough, I don't matter. So sometimes, but if you think about it, like a good friend would do a check in,
yeah.
right? Like, oh
Yeah.
wait, Nando hasn't said anything. Nando hasn't said, Nando, where do you want to go eat?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like, but again, we train people how to treat us. And so if you're the invisible friend, then eventually you become the invisible voice, the invisible person. So is it really your friends, or is it you operating from I don't matter? And that's still part, and this is what I'm saying, it's part of the people pleasing, because it's the dark side, because you'd rather stay in that role just so you feel like a part of, but are you really a part of?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all part of the dark side of people pleasing. See, people think people pleasing are these nice, happy, jolly people that are just like, I brought the cupcakes today, and oh, I have the, you want a piece of gum? That's not always a people pleaser. There's the dark side where it's like, we're sitting at home like plotting, like
Yeah, resentment building.
this will get me the invite to the Mexico Instagram trip. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Absolutely.
We got to be
Absolutely.
real too. Yeah, yeah.
That's the thing. I really like that you brought up that point though of it's not the fault of the people around you. You have trained them. You have educated them that this is how you like to be treated through your actions. So it really does come back to you. It's not a matter of turning around and going, "Oh, you guys were awful to me," and all of these sorts of things, and building that anger. Again, it's sort of like it all comes back to self-love. And this is something I heard that was it really blew my mind, and I'd love your thoughts on it from, I don't know if you listen to her work, but Brene Brown. I've started looking at a couple of things of hers lately, and a few things resonated. And one was that she was saying from her research that the opposite to fitting in is belonging. And I was like, whoa, what is that? And then it snapped in my head. It was like, yes, of course it is. Because belonging to yourself, your true self, who you are at your core, that is the superpower. That is, yeah. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it happens a lot with, I work with entrepreneurs, specifically female entrepreneurs who experience imposter syndrome, right? And where there's imposter syndrome comes the self-sabotage. And self-sabotage has a lot of different, categories, which people pleasing is one of them. So when I'm dealing with a lot of these women that come to me, a lot of them never feel like they belong. They just feel like they'll fit in. They fit into when you fit in, you're just a box or a category that we can throw you into. When you belong, it's like you have a piece, you've got skin in the game, right? And so it's like if I belong in this space, then I can make it a little bit of my own, and my voice can be heard, and I can own, part of the experience. But when you're just fitting in, you're kind of just like, do I look like everybody else? Do I, and operating from fitting in also has its own standards and has its own rules, right? And so for the longest time, I operated from just fitting in, you know, growing up. I was adopted, so I never let anybody know that. Like
Yeah, right.
I cannot let anybody know I'm adopted, because that's definitely not fitting in, right?
Yeah.
Right. And then being gay at a young age, not knowing, but knowing I was so different,
Yeah.
I can't let anybody. So adopted, gay, and then I grew up in Texas, where
Oh, wow.
a huge part of the identity is macho. A huge part of the identity, also, Mexican people from Mexican background weren't seen as contributing to the community. So we were seen as outsiders. So Mexican, gay, and adopted. So
Wow.
that had
Yeah.
three strikes against me. So talk about trying to be invisible. Talk about trying to just fit in, quiet, like don't notice me. And I felt like I always, I always lived with the freaking spotlight, because
Yeah.
as much as I wanted to be invisible, the spotlight always followed me around. And it wasn't a good thing when I was little, because I was bullied. I was bullied very extremely in school. And looking back, it shaped who I was. So like now, you know, even into my early 40s, I was trying to fit in,
Yeah.
super trying, because I grew up that way. It was a survival. And for what I want people to understand is a lot of the people pleasing comes from a survival.
Yeah.
right? So when you see a people pleaser or someone identifies, at the core, there's a survival mechanism of fitting in, and that's what's running the show. So even at 40, I was trying to fit in and really not get noticed or what have you. And it wasn't until I started embracing the uniqueness that I'm like, how about I just show up as me? And it takes a lot of courage, and it's a brave act. And it doesn't, like, trust me, I don't always barge the door, kick the door open, and it's like,
Yeah.
here I am. No, because that survival mechanism kicks in. It's instinctual. It's like animalistic. The first thing we want to do is fit in, right? But then, once you get your bearings, and you're just like, no, 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 let me bring my flavor to things, right? So I hope I'm answering your question and not just
Absolutely.
rambling.
No, you
Okay,
know
good.
what? You're actually answering. I'm looking at the questions I've got, and you're
Uh
answering them
oh, uh
off
oh.
one by one. It's great. No, you're perfect. But because I was going to ask, what was it that got you attracted into this work, and what was it that led you to do this work? And that's very obvious. It was from your own experience.
Oh, yeah, it was like big time. So I'll tell you really briefly. I was working in corporate America, and I was working as a recruiter in HR and then in social media, and I kind of created my own position in the company I was working at. And I started creating content in order to get folks to look at our company and say, I want to work there. So I started creating content and posting it, and that's how I would recruit people. And I went to go. People were asking me to go speak on this, right? So I was doing like speaking engagements at LinkedIn, at different conferences,
Wow.
and everything. And at one of these conferences that I was talking about it, afterwards, this company approached me and said, "You're going to be working for us in about 6 months. Just be ready." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And sure enough, 6 months later, I was working for them, right?
Wow.
But the thing is, I always felt not worthy, not good enough. Any moment now, the shoe was going to drop,
Yeah,
right? And as
yeah.
part of and as a people pleaser, one of how it manifested was I had an opinion, but if you questioned it, I would so back down,
I know that one. Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because it was like the self doubt,
Yeah.
right? And so, and then my anxiety would come up, and then all this panic and everything. So, example, somebody would say,
Sorry, hold on.
"What are the
Give me,
top three?"
do me one favor quickly. The zipper is joining
It's
in on the
banging.
interview. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
If you could either hold it like that
is
or
that
just
better?
fold. Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry. So what?
Yeah, so I'll give you an example of how my voice, I will back down. Is I was in a meeting once, and they asked me, like, what are the social platforms we should be on, and I said, let's do. We didn't have TikTok back then, but it was like, let's do Instagram, let's do Facebook, and let's do Snapchat. And one of the executives was just like, why would we do Snapchat? And it was like, no, I think you're right. We shouldn't be on Snapchat. And then they came back and they're like, no, no, no. I mean, if you think we should, then, like, such wishy washiness coming from me, right? And I
Yeah.
was hired as the expert on this. And that's how my life went. Like, I would be like, yeah, we should do this, 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 and that. And if somebody would question it, I would just get so upset, or I would back down
Yeah.
100%,
Yeah.
right? So that's how, and it's something that I'm still working through now, right? When I'm working with clients or whatever, if I tell a client, all right, this is the path we're going to go, and they're just like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that, and it's just like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do it. And it's like, wait, no, wait, hold on, I'm trained in
I
this. Like,
know
I
this
do know that
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, like, hold on, you're resisting it, and it's okay, but, like, this is the
Yeah.
path we're going to go on. But it takes a minute. It takes a minute to develop, to letting go of that self-doubt.
I think that is such an important message. And even for myself, I'm so grateful to just hear that, because there are times where you sort of think that you've got it all sorted and you're like, yes, I'm on top of this thing and I'm aware of it and I'm setting boundaries. And then something happens and you fall straight back into it. And then the self-doubt comes in, and then you're beating yourself up, and all of the negative vibes sort of start to pile on top of you. And you go, wow, I've made no progress. But really, of course you have. It's just that we expect that we heal overnight. And that's something that's taken me such a long time to wrap my head around. And even talking about the things that I'm talking about, I get the same sort of feeling. Like you're saying, sometimes if someone will say something that sort of counteracts that, I'm like, well, maybe not. Maybe it's not that way. And it's like, this is my perspective from my lived experience. I'm just sharing it. I'm not forcing this on anyone. And yeah, like just to be able to back myself is it's a new thing. It's really like, and it's a game changer, but it definitely takes work, right?
Yeah, you just said it. Like being able to back up your opinion or back up what you're saying or just what have you. And I think that a lot of the times it's just we don't need backup. It's just this no, this is what I think, right? So obviously, like if you're doing a job and you're recommending something, you want to show research or something. But like if you know if someone's just like, really, you're gonna get bangs, or I don't know if you guys call them bangs or
Yeah.
curtains, or I don't know what fringe, and it's just like I don't need to get your opinion on this, right?
Yeah.
And I think as a people pleaser, I think sometimes we want that external validation to make sure we're on the right path, and there's nothing more beautiful, which is basically what you were pointing to, than internal validation, right? Which is there's a difference. There's a difference between seeking external and then just having acknowledgement. Those are
Yeah.
two different things. Yeah.
It's so true, but it is that side of you. Like the only part of you that's doubting is that side that's going, well, I want this person to like me. I want this person to agree with me. And something I've found even recently is sort of like the most obvious revelation ever. I had this sort of this belief that I'm waiting for someone to give me permission to do the things that I want to do. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking this is coming into the people pleaser side again. It's like, I want to do a lot of big things. I want to rattle some cages, and the people pleaser in me doesn't want to rattle anyone. She wants everyone to feel really comfortable at all times and to not get in anyone's nerves or anything like that. But the things that I want to do are going to rattle people. They are going to go against the norm in a lot of ways. And so, yeah, it's that rectifying that, really learning to back myself has been the biggest thing, and hold myself and go, no, honey, you got this. But that doesn't mean I don't have days, sometimes a week or 2 weeks on end, where I'm just down going, I can't do this. And then I come back and I'm like, I can fucking do this. Yes, I can.
Yeah. I call it I mean, no offense to anyone, but it's like, it's very bipolar, right?
Absolutely.
It's like one moment we're up, one moment we're down. And it's just like, I just recently had one of those days not too long ago where I was like, I am gonna just self-isolate right now, because I know if I were to like talk to someone, I would spread this yuck over
Yep.
to them.
Yep.
So I'm just gonna like stay in bed, do some Netflix, and I just call them my 0 days. Some days I just have my 0 days where I do 0 calls, 0 interaction, zero,
Like that.
you
I
know,
like that.
they're just my 0 days, and it just allows me to recoup, recharge, and just rest.
Yeah, because you really do, right? Like an average person is already working so many faculties, they're burning energy. But I feel like a people pleaser then has these levels on top that they're burning extra, because they're worrying about what someone's thinking about them in every single moment and what could possibly the ramifications of this act could be. Whereas the people who aren't necessarily in the people pleaser lane will sort of go, yeah, this is me doing my thing. So I feel like we're burning out on this emotional, spiritual level as well as the physical, with just so much care for everyone else and what everyone's going to think of us,
Absolutely. And it's people, and it's the different categories of people that we're trying to please, right? So we might have a work person, we might have a friend person, we may have someone, in the neighborhood. So it's not just like, oh, I'm a people pleaser, here's Bob, I'm trying to please Bob. No, I'm trying to please Bob, Kathy, Joe,
Yeah.
Dolly. Like I have a group, right?
It's so
And
true.
the thing about it is that these people probably don't even care, They
Right?
don't, because you just said it. It's like we're worried about what people think of us, but it's because we don't have the skill yet. We haven't developed the skill to acknowledge ourselves, what we bring to the table, what we
Yeah.
add to the room,
Yeah.
what equation, what flavor we add, right? Once you take note of your flavor, what you add to this, right? So I just recently, I'll share this. I just recently signed a contract with with this online program, and I'm coaching their students.
Amazing.
on imposter syndrome and on self-sabotage, all of that, right? And so I was talking to, the person that I report to my boss, and she said to me, when we made the decision to bring you on board, it was because of like your energy, your uniqueness, and da 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 da. And all I could think about was just like everything she's saying is what I've worked hard to create. Right. So for me, that was an acknowledgement. It wasn't validation. It was acknowledgement. Right. So the things she's saying, I've already said to myself. Right. So like the students are going to gravitate towards my energy, towards the way I say or do things. And already, like I message them and I put a lot of gifts. Right.
Yeah.
Like a
Love it.
clapping gif or
Yep.
whatever. And I'm dealing with people in technology, like people that are learning how to code, and so they operate on
Yeah. Total
the
other
the
level.
the left side of the brain, and I'm like right brain, and so sometimes I think I overload them with gifts, right? And they'll
Too
just
much
like write
happiness.
too much, just extra. But I'm like, yeah, that's me. You
Yeah.
need a Nando. So yeah.
100%. It's like a life mascot. We all need a Nando. What are you talking about? But I love that. One thing I'm finding as well with not just myself, but other people, and it even seems like yourself as well, when you answer the call of teaching, when you feel I need to teach something and it's coming up and it's obviously come from your own experiences and it's something that's so in your core, I need to teach this, I need to share the things I've learned. I feel like that's when it is triggered the most in you. It's like an initiation. Like, yeah, you can teach this, but you've got to go through even more of it now to really get a good, like, microscopic view of this problem. So good luck, you know what I mean? But it's such a balance. Like at the start of a teaching career or whatever work you're doing when you're helping other people, I feel like it just comes all up. All of your shit just comes to the surface that you've got to work on again, just to make sure you really got it. And then you sort of smooth sailing a little bit.
I like to tell folks that it's like playing a video game, right? So the trigger that I had at level 1, it might be there at level 5, but it's a different intensity and it's a different flavor, but it's the same thing, right? So having people think I don't get it, having people think I'm not smart enough, having people, that's in here.
Yeah.
No one could ever say or do something that's because I've never had anyone say, do you not
Yeah.
get it? Like, are
Yeah.
you not bright? Are you? No, it's me interpreting what there's, right? So at level 1, it could have been something simple as like a phrase that would trigger me, right? Now I'm at level 5 with that same freaking trigger, but now it appears in a different format, right? So it's just it's basically what you're saying. Like we don't I feel we don't reach that mountaintop where you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm done, right? I don't think that happens. I think we just keep climbing and we reach different levels. But guess what? As you're climbing and reaching different levels, you've left level 1 behind, which is those level 1 people, those level 1 places, those level 1 situations. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yep.
So at level 5, can you imagine when we're at level 10 and like the things that trigger you are like, so like the anxiety and the overwhelm of like maybe overpacking your schedule at level 10, you're just like, oh my God, I have this Beyonce party to go to, but it's the same night that,
The
that
president wants me
Oprah
to come
is
over. Yeah.
exact.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's the
Yeah.
same trigger. You've overwhelmed, you overpromised on
Yeah.
your schedule, but at level 1,
Yeah.
what was triggering you? Are you kidding me? Compared to like the level 10? Yeah. So that's what I tell my client. That's a created concern up here. That's a created concern. That's a problem we want to be dealing with, right? Versus down here. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love the video game analogy as well. And that is, yeah, the mountaintop. It's something that we've all got embedded in us that we're going to get to this point one day where it all makes sense. And it's like, it's just not going to happen. And imagine, like, as a visual thing, imagine if you did reach the top, where's the only way to go? Down. So we don't actually want to reach the top. We just want to keep progressing and expanding and growing. But I love that. I love that analogy. So what can people start doing? What if people are listening to this going, maybe just now starting to have the revelation, oh shit, yeah, I think I'm people pleasing. What's something that they can start doing to just sort of becoming more aware of it and getting their heads around it?
Well, the first thing is creating that self awareness, right? Number one. So, what does people pleasing feel like and sound like in your world, right? Because it's going to sound and feel different for everyone. So, some people might even get that sensation. So, I didn't even know that that's what it was, but I would get that pit in my stomach, right?
Yeah.
Or, my people pleasing would always come in the flavor of like worst case scenario too. It's like if I don't get this done and make my boss happy, I'm gonna get fired. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
homeless. I'm gonna like just that worst case
Yeah.
scenario, right? So it was in the pit in my stomach. So what does it feel like? What does it sound like? What do those thoughts sound like, right? That's the first thing, is recognizing that. And then the second thing is taking a step back and really playing this game. People can start playing this game of like, and so what if it does happen? Because a lot of the times we stop the thought, what if I become homeless? Okay, okay, first of all, what if I get fired? All right, well, you know what? I've been fired before. I'll probably get another job. Done. Right?
Yeah.
Well, what if I lose my apartment? Well, guess what? You'll go stay with. So if you're able to play the game, the what if game, right, and have it be empowering,
Yeah.
then you're ready to start working on this, right?
Yeah.
But if the what if game sends you into a spiral, it just means you need to reach out and get some help. Either start watching some videos or get a book somewhere, get with a coach, because if your thoughts are so disempowering that it sends you into a spiral, then it means on your own you're just not there yet, and it's okay, right?
Yeah.
You're video level 1. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
You just
Exactly.
you just need more training. That's
Yeah.
it.
But you've entered the game now. You're a part of it. You're making progress anyway.
Yeah.
So I would love to know a little bit about you. How do
Okay.
you, as we've established, you have your 0 days, as we all do.
Yep.
How do you maintain your positive attitude, though? Do you have self-care daily rituals? Do you have anything that you do to like raise your vibration? Do you have moments where you go, oh, my energy's dropping. I need
Uh-oh.
to
You've cut off.
reevaluate this moment and really just like check in with myself. Do you have any sort of little tips there?
All right. So you just 100% cut off, so I didn't hear your
Oh,
question.
see, there's too much positive energy coming out of you. The whole thing just couldn't handle it.
I'm
Just
breaking
went
down the
Nando overload. I love it. So I was wondering how you maintain a positive attitude. Do you have any self-care daily rituals? Do you have moments where you go, oh, I can feel my energy dipping. I need to do these things to get me back. Any tips for
yes.
us? Oh, yay.
Yes, yes,
Yay,
yes,
yay.
yes. Okay. So my goal, right? My goal is, how do I bring joy in my life on a daily basis? Now, I don't always accomplish that at a 100. So let's keep it real. I don't that obviously, because I have 0 days, right? But even on my 0 days, it's like, what can I do to bring me joy? Now, I want to tell the difference. Joy is like in the moment, something that you're experiencing right now. Happiness is something measured over a period of time. So you could say, yesterday I was happy, but in this moment right now, I'm experiencing joy, right? And so joy is categorized or defined as something that's so like it hits you where it needs to hit you that you even feel like jumping up and down, right? It's that
Love
intense,
that.
like,
Yeah.
whoa, right? So what I do a couple of things. One is, for a year, October, November, for a year and 2 months now, I have been part of a gratitude circle for a year. We started October 2022, and it's like a 15-minute phone call that a bunch of entrepreneurs jump on, and it's run by a woman named Carol Taylor, and we operate from the book The Magic by Rhonda Byrne, who wrote The Secret,
All
right? And so
right.
it's 28 days of intentional and deep gratitude. So it's 28 days and it's 28 practices. I didn't know that there was 28 ways to practice gratitude. I thought it was just you get up, you write 10 things you're grateful for, and then you keep it moving. No, there's actually 28 different ways, right?
Wow.
So for a year, we've been doing this. So that's number one. It gets me going, right? And I just started and I've been resisting it, right? So even me, I resist stuff. And I'm sure you've heard of it. Morning Pages. Have you heard of Morning Pages?
No.
So I believe her name is Julia Cameron. She wrote this one of the most famous books in the history of the planet, and it's called The Artist's Way.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay, so what she recommends is you start your day off with morning pages, and basically it's like a brain dump. So it's not a journal, it's not a diary like, oh, yesterday this and that, or I'm looking for. No, it's like what's in your space. So today was actually day 2 of me
Amazing.
doing that. So the whole purpose of morning pages is to do a brain dump, to get it out of here and write it down. And what ends up happening when you do that is a lot of the self-doubt starts to go away. And a lot of that noise that we carry with us throughout the day starts to vanish because you've written it down and you've got it out of your system. Right
Yeah.
now, of course, I do my morning pages, of course, because I'm a rebel, way different. That's like what's suggested, and it's what works for me.
Yeah.
Right. So I just do a whole different system. And I was thinking about like maybe writing about it to helping maybe other people who think like me might benefit from this way. But according to how it's supposed to be done, you just do a brain dump and you just keep writing. And it's 3 full pages every day, 3 pages of
Amazing.
just brain dump, right? And you get it out. So with my gratitude call and now my morning pages, that those 2 things, and then I do a daily walk, which I didn't know this, but a lot of people, like high productive, entrepreneurs and these great folks, they start their morning off not necessarily working out, but like with the walk. Now, of course, they're walking on the beach in Malibu. They're walking, I'm walking down this sidewalk that's slanted in the Bronx, but I'm getting it done, right?
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
my gratitude call, my morning pages, and my walks. That's how I keep it. That's how I keep it, Nando.
I love that. Keep it Nando. I love that. That's so good. And the morning pages, I have heard of that. I forgot what that was called, and I haven't actually read that book. It's on my wish list on my on my. It's there's so many books on that at the moment. Oh my gosh.
I
But
have like 50,000
yeah,
books, and I can't. My system will start, and so I have the book. I have the physical book,
yeah,
and then I have the digital version,
yeah,
and then I have the Audible. So I don't know what category I fall into, but I start like 3 pages and then I get so bored and I have to go to the next.
yeah.
So I have never. The Artist's Way, I was introduced to it in 2001 when I first moved to New York City.
Wow.
And I remember back then, I couldn't relate to it. So I just read like a few pages and I put it away. So I've never read it, right?
Yeah.
But the
Right.
morning pages
Yeah.
concept kept
Comes
popping
out.
up from different people.
Yeah.
And I watched a couple of YouTube videos where it was popping up and I'm like, okay, I keep getting this freaking message.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's time for me to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it makes so much sense though. It's like you said, it's like cleaning out the stuff that's in your head. But if you don't do that, then throughout the whole day, it's like there's a part of you that's trying to work on all of those problems you've created for yourself rather than getting them onto paper, getting them out and somewhere and go, if I really want to, I can look at these later. You're probably never even going to read them. It's just a matter of just getting it out. So we're getting towards the end of our time together. I know you're a busy man and I'm so grateful for your time, but I would like to know 2 more things from you.
Yes.
First one, what are 3 qualities that you value about yourself?
Ooh, I like this. So, one, I don't lie, right? I
Beautiful.
tell the truth. So that means a lot of the times I'm telling on myself. And it's okay, right?
Yeah.
It's okay. I don't
Keep
lie.
it real. Yeah.
The second thing is I'm always in discovery, right? I'm always in I'm willing to take something on if it's going to help me discover something about myself,
Yeah. I
right?
love that.
And then the third thing is, I don't know if this is, I'm obsessed with hair. And it just like,
Because you
it's
have the
something that I
best
value.
hair. Yeah.
I'm obsessed with hair, and I'll tell you something. I was born with amazing curly hair,
Yeah.
but when I was growing up, in the US, every TV show that I saw, people had straight hair. So I hated my hair. So at the age of 12 and 13, I discovered products in order to have straight hair. And in that discovery, right, because the products are way better now in 2023 than they were back in, 1980, whatever. So I like fried my hair off. I've like
Yeah.
done it all. And it hasn't been until, so if you see my Instagram, even as of late of last year, straight hair, straight hair, straight hair. And it has been the last 3 to 4 months that, look at this, I've
I
never had
love
curly hair
it.
before.
Oh, it's amazing. It's one
Just
of
in
the
baby.
first things I noticed about you going, that hair. It's amazing.
Yeah. So I'm obsessed with, in this part of my authentic self,
Yeah.
this is the hair that I was born with. So I'm like
Yes.
playing
Owning
around with it,
it. I
owning it. Yeah.
love that. And I love that you had three things. You didn't have to think too much about it. That is such a beautiful sign of healing, right? That you are aware of who you are. You know your strengths. You know the things that make you happy about yourself. That's beautiful, because that is a hard question to sometimes look in and go, oh, oh. And then also the ego comes in. Oh, should I even say this? It's like, no, yes, you should. Honor yourself. That's what that question is for. Like, have a minute to go, yes, good on you. Pat
I
on the
love it.
back. Pat on the back. So the whole point of this podcast is to help people who might have, through all the patterns and programming that we are all a part of when we're younger, have fallen into a job or into a life that they're really not happy with. And it's to speak to people like yourself that have seen the patterns, that have broken out of that mold a little bit. All, like you said, we're always a work in progress, but you're doing the things that light you up, and you can see it. Like, you can see it on just the few shots on Instagram that I've seen of you. I'm like, this guy's giving me energy from New York. Like, he's just radiating. It's amazing. So I love letting people see the power of being the true self. That's what I want to see everyone being, their true authentic self. So could you give me your definition of what the true self is? What does it look like for Nando to be his true authentic self?
What does it look like for Nando to be his true authentic self? I love that question. Huh. I think, no, I know that it involves me falling down and getting back up again.
I love that so much. And being okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
That's the superpower right there. That is the superpower. And like you said, you have a curiosity, like you're always learning. You're in this student mindset all of the time. And I think that, coupled with the ability to allow yourself to fall down and get back up and be kind to yourself, that means you're unstoppable. That means you can literally do anything, because what is the thing that's always in our way? It's us. It's our doubt. It's our beating ourselves up. It's going, how dare you do that one thing wrong that you've never tried before, but you should have gotten done perfect. It's like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
calm down, self.
Yeah.
So I love that. I really, really do. I love hearing everyone's different definition of that. And that is beautiful. Wow. So Nando, how can people get in touch with you if they want to just soak in some of this energy? Are you offering to work with people still, or are you a bit booked up? Like, how do people get in touch?
Have folks reach out to me on Instagram, right, at Nandoism, on Instagram, and that's the fastest way. And I'll also say that it's, you can get a sense of who I am through my Instagram account. I do pride myself on, when you jump on, and trust me, like, I do a lot of social media assessments, and I'm like, my account doesn't look like this one, and it doesn't look like that one. And then that's when I have to like calm myself down and be like, chill, shut up, chill, and just, it is what it is, right? So sometimes it's a graphic, sometimes it's a photo, sometimes it's a reel, right? And People don't know this. And here's the thing, people probably don't even care. But like, you don't know how much it like I debated, I seesawed over, should the reels just be me? And I started posting other people's reels on my account because I'm like, other people have amazing information to pass down. Like, who's to say I'm the only one with knowledge, right? So anyway, Instagram at Nandoism.
I
Am I
love
taking
it.
clients? Not Probably not until like maybe April of next year. I'm booked up right
Yep.
now, but yeah, come April. But reach out now so we can get you on the waiting list, and yeah, and we can start working together.
Amazing. Thank you so, so much for your time, Nando. I've had so much fun talking to you, and you've really calmed me down a lot, because a lot of the, the inner turmoil just comes from me just beating myself up and expecting perfection and all these things, even though I know logically, all the things logically, but it's just these reactions and stuff. So even just hearing about your 0 days, that's huge for me. So really grateful. Thank you for being so honest and just sharing.
You just said something that I think, because don't get it twisted, right? I have 5 coaches. I have
Amazing.
coaches,
Yep.
right? Because I can't do this on my own. And so what you just said was, oh, it helped me to know that you're also going through something like this, Oh my God. Like, yeah, like I have 5 coaches. I have a breakthrough coach. I have a business coach. I have a social media coach. I have a YouTube coach. I have coaches up the wazoo, because
Amazing.
I know that it takes a team in order, to progress. I can't do this on my own. Yeah.
And that's thank you so much for sharing that as well. And I think that's a big part of why I want to do this podcast as well, for myself selfishly, to be able to have amazing insights and chats with people like yourself, but to also give it to people that might not have the ability to have a coach, or they might not know what they need yet, to have so many different people who specialize in so many different areas of self-development and growth and becoming our authentic selves, to have a bit of a chat to them.
Absolutely.
So,
Good job.
yeah,
Good job on what you're doing.
amazing.
I love your mission,
Thank
and I love
you.
your agenda, and I love your energy. And thank you so much for being so patient with me. You contacted me when I was sick, and I was like, I
no.
don't feel well. And you're like, it's okay. We can do it way later. So thank you so much.
Yeah, whenever. No, that's okay. Thank you. Well, I will catch you on Instagram and catch more of your sunlight.
Yes.
Thank you, Nando. Have a beautiful day.
Bye,
Mwah.
everyone. Thank you for listening.